All right, I think we're live. Let me know if you guys can hear me and where you guys are listening from. Once I see some kind of activity rolling in there, we'll start getting set up and get going. All right, looks like I can see the live feed on my end, so that's good. Numbers look kind of trashy on the stream today as far as like the internet side of things. So I apologize if that's the case. But again, let me know where you're listening from. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me know if the sound is good. I had to jiggle some stuff earlier in the week, and I'm not entirely sure if I got it back to where it was supposed to be or not. I was doing something dumb in the office, and I shouldn't have been doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the lights set up. And if you guys need lighting solutions, right? Like, they don't pay me to say this, but Small Rig has got it going on. And if they wanted to pay me, I would absolutely take their money because these things are worth their weight in at least copper. Ambiance established. Good. Glad to hear that you guys are tuning in from Idaho and Pittsburgh and North Carolina and West Virginia. Yeah, Detroit. Sorry about you. And that everything sounds good. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today is going to be the last live stream of February. And the reason that it is going to be the last live stream of February is because my son or daughter is due next Sunday. So I'm probably not going to be here, or at least I have planned to not be here that day or to be predisposed. So I will likely not be streaming that day. So I think we need to take a break anyway. I want to get some new giveaways for you guys in the month of March as well. So we are going to have a giveaway today from First Form, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. The live stream today is brought to you by First Form, so I thank them for being a sponsor of the channel and for providing good stuff for our giveaway. But I am down towards the bottom of the barrel on the stuff, so we're going to have to get some new folks in here pretty soon. I'm not going to go buy a bunch more of it like I did for the last several of those things. So anyway, icebreaker today. Well, actually, I got 2 icebreakers today while people roll in. So he doesn't know that I'm doing this, but I'm going to talk about one of my friends had somebody tried to steal something very expensive that has to stay outside, basically. Like, it has to stay set up outside. And basically the only place that he could really do this was in his driveway. So he had it set up at the end of his driveway. And he takes the really expensive part of it off and puts it inside when he's not attending it. But still, let's put it this way, the base is by itself more than $1,000. Okay. So this dude rolls by his house, stops, and tries to steal it. And he just so happens to catch him doing it. And the guy basically says, "Oh, well, I thought it was scrap. I was loading it into my truck, without asking," right? Just something sitting at the end of his driveway, basically. And dude tries to make off with it. And in the process of doing that, he broke some parts on the base. I scratched it up real bad. And so, we're going to see what happens with that. But I think that dude he has been charged. We'll put it that way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that coming down the pipe. I would give you more details, but it would be enough specificity for it to negatively impact the that situation. I don't want to negatively impact that, at least in the direction of my friend who is currently undergoing this, which super sucks. Where in Ohio? I am. Oh, wait a minute. So that is towards somebody else. So my bad. So you drop a video during the national anthem of the Daytona 500. I don't watch the Daytona 500. Sorry. Not my thing. So I would not have known that that was going on today. If you gave me a list of things that could possibly be going on today and you put Daytona 500 on there, it probably would not have been the guess that I would have given. Right. I would have probably picked anything else because I don't know anything about that. Even though I have been to Daytona Beach on several times. I want to say probably 10 or 15 times I've been to Daytona Beach, but never during the race. And I find the whole thing about the whole theme of Daytona Beach to be somewhat annoying, to be completely honest. Anyway. Somebody asked where I'm at in Ohio. I am located on the southeast portion of Ohio. So basically, to give you guys an idea where we're at, if I have to send a weapon back to a manufacturer via FedEx, I have to drive to Wheeling, West Virginia to do it because that's the closest. That's the closest FedEx to me that I can drop that off at. So, because you can't just drop it off at any FedEx, right? You have to take those to a hub. And so the nearest hub is in West Virginia, even though I'm in Ohio. UPS is a little bit better. I actually have, it's best for me because when I take those things back to UPS, then I have no excuse to not go to the gym because the gym is basically on the way. So there you go. Sawmill. Somebody says they're from Sawmill. They probably mean Sawmill Road. Yeah. So okay. So let's move on to our second icebreaker today. So I have a question for you guys, and I posted I posted. Oop! I didn't want to do that. My bad. I posted a poll for you guys to take, and I want to share this with you. So I asked you guys, the audience, what your opinion was if you know that somebody owes you money, okay? And they know that you owe them money. And they've been dragging their feet. And we're not talking like $100,000, right? We're talking like several $1,000s, but we're not talking like you're really in the hole, right? How do you handle it after it's been months? And the 4 options that I put up there, because I only had 4 I only had 4 options for all of YouTube. And that was humiliate them, call cousin Ezio to have a talk with them, allow the theft, but don't forget about it, and then prevent others from making the same mistake. And so I have taken that to heart, and I agree with the 50% of you that it is kind of like my duty in working in the space that I work in. The thing is, like, there are so many companies in the firearms industry and the adjacent industries, and this really sucks, and I hate to bring you guys this bad news, but I'm not going to say that it's a large percentage, but there is a significant portion of companies in the gun space, the firearm space, the outdoor space, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that are just either not good people, right? Like, they are straight up there for not noble purposes. They're not really into it. There was one company, for instance, that will remain unnamed because the dude is dead and the company has moved on. I had a meeting with them at the NRA annual meeting years ago, and he told me that he was uncomfortable with that many people carrying guns around him. Basically, that he felt like he was in danger at the NRA annual meeting because people were lawfully carrying guns. And I was not in a position at that time to out him because he kind of ran in my circles, but he has since passed on, and his company has changed course, right? So that's a good thing. So I wouldn't want to do any unseemly damage to them because that dude was crackpot. But a large portion of people are like that. I'm not saying that it's most of them or any percentage, but there is some appreciable percentage of people in the gun industry that are those kind of people that are not principled or straight up just don't pay their bills. And I don't know about you guys, but if I don't pay my Verizon bill, they'll shut my phone off and send me to collections. So I deal with this on a not regular basis, but every once in a while, every year, it seems that I have one or two that pop up that just straight up, I don't get it. I don't know if they've got debt management problems or what's going on, but I got another one, and I have my ways of handling it, but I'm getting kind of tired of it. And I want to know how you guys would handle it. If you were in a similar situation. So anyway, in that vein, the giveaway today will be the person who has the best answer on how do you deal with somebody who owes you money, but they've been dodging you. How do you deal with that person? Today's live stream is brought to you by First Form, and we will be giving away a value pack of their meat sticks today to one winner. Whoever has the best comment either on the live stream or on the live stream VOD by tomorrow at noon. So stick tuned and go for it, boys and girls. Go for it. So today, what I wanted to talk about specifically was some of the updates in the Rarebreed case. I should probably bring myself back to the camera. Sorry, I completely forgot that figure was up on the stream, and I was wondering why my numbers were climbing so up on the people because they couldn't see my face. So they're like, "Oh, this is the greatest live stream he's ever done," because his face isn't on the live stream. But as I mentioned, this is going to be the last live stream of February because next Sunday, which is normally our streaming day, my son or daughter is due. My wife is done with being pregnant. So I'm pretty sure that that is going to happen here pretty soon. And therefore, I will not be available next Sunday. Likely. Very likely, I will not be available. I will not be coming into the office that day. Anyway, so thank you guys for arson or extortion. Somebody asked why challenging to single combat was not on the list, and I said, well, YouTube only allows me to have 4 answers. So publicly post who owes you money. Yeah, keep getting it, guys. Keep getting it, because I am going to send this live stream to them after this and just tell them to read the comments. They know. Anyway. What I want to talk to you guys about today is the updates in the Rarebreed litigation situation. So I did a video a couple days ago on the fact that Hoffman Tactical has, actually, let me pull it up really quick just to check it, has started crowdfunding. Can't type. For his legal defense. Ooh, that's running really slow. I hope that your guys' feed is doing well, because that was really, really bad. I apologize if it's not doing well. Screen, let's see. He's currently up to 82 of his 185. So it's chugging right along. It's chugging right along. And I think that I think he probably will eventually meet his number, but I think that his number is low. To be completely honest, I don't know how he's going to mount a successful defense with $185,000 against somebody like Rarebreed. So it is what it is. But that was kind of the news this week. But then we got new news as of yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We got new news out of the Peak Tactical case. So this is the partisan disruptor, basically. So the Peak Tactical case, and this is the big blockbuster one, to be completely honest. So as much as I want to see, and the kind of the subject of my video a couple days ago was that there are some cases where I believe that litigation is justified, but those are the minority of cases. And in my mind, I want to see Rarebreed absolutely shellac the folks from Big Daddy Unlimited. So that's the one that I'm really watching. But the big blockbuster to kind of tell you how this whole thing is going to go is probably the Peak Tactical case, because it's got the heaviest hitters in the room, basically. And what we learned through this this case, which, by the way, did I pin it? I'm pretty sure that I pinned it. There we go. I just pinned it. Sorry about that. At the top of the chat, and then on the VOD, I will go ahead and pin it as well. There is a, thank you for the super chat, by the way, John Crump News. Thank you very much. John Crump, actually, he's going to have an article coming out about this tomorrow, and I am pinning a link to the decision on the VOD. When his write-up comes out tomorrow, I'll be pinning his full story on the Peak Tactical case. And so what we've got going on here is essentially the playing field looks like this. The WOT Big Daddy Unlimited case is in arbitration right now, which means that we're not going to see any of that sort of stuff until it comes out the other end, unless somebody leaks it, basically. So we're not going to know what happens in that one until it completes, which that's sad, because that's the one I really want to know about, because I think that, people that the people that I discussed at the beginning of the stream, the not so great people, it's nice to see when they get theirs. But anyway, so that's that one. And then the Hoffman case that he is currently raising money for is he has a preliminary injunction against him. And what that means is that the court has decided that based on the merits of the claim, that the plaintiff is likely to succeed. And in that case, Rarebreed is the plaintiff. So basically, the judge in that case has decided that there's substantial enough evidence to believe that Hoffman, how do I want to say this? That it is a substantial boon to the outcome of the case if Hoffman is unable to continue to operate how he's been operating, basically. So that's what a preliminary injunction does in that case. So he can no longer disseminate the super safety files or any of that sort of stuff. Basically what a preliminary injunction means. So he can also no longer continue to use that system to gain funds for his legal defense. So it's kind of up a creek. That's probably the whole impetus for him starting the crowdfunding thing, right? So that's that situation. And I don't know how that one is ultimately going to go, but if I was a betting man, I would say that, especially because the Department of Justice has kind of waded into that one, I don't think that that looks super great. We kind of know that the Department of Justice is very like super duper pro cop, and they behave as such. So whenever the law enforcement community says, hey, we really don't like this 3D printed crap, like we're really scared of this stuff, and whatever anti-gun group has gotten a hold of whatever police union that then has the ear of the Department of Justice, generally speaking, the Department of Justice acts. And in this particular instance, when it comes to the Hoffman case, the Department of Justice has basically said, ew, 3D printing bad, and the judge granted the preliminary injunction, which prevents Hoffman from continuing to do what he does. The same thing was tried. So to kind of give you the way things happen is you start with a TRO, temporary restraining order, which for a limited amount of time, the status quo cannot change, basically. And then after the TRO expires, usually that's when you have something like a preliminary injunction that kicks in. I got a $10 super chat from N2 Shooter. Congrats on the pending birth of your new child. Want to interview a friend going through the federal firearm rights restoration process. Actually, that sounds like a great idea. That would be very interesting to send me an email and we'll talk about it. That sounds like a grand idea, because that's interesting. You don't get a lot of opportunity to do that because, well, actually, so I used to do some work for an attorney of mine that they do a lot of that sort of stuff. So I kind of got an idea how that used to work. I don't know how it's currently working with the whole change in the status quo in the Trump administration. So anyway, back to what we were saying. So you got TRO. TRO is temporary restraining order. TRO is there for the purposes of basically maintaining status quo or inducing something that is important to get on the books before the case begins. Basically, preserve evidence or halt activity or something like that. But that does not need to be done with the say of the defendant, basically. So that can be done, I forget the term, sorry, I'm not an attorney, but that can be done without the knowledge of the defendant. The preliminary injunction is not that. Now, it is permanent as long as the case is going on. So TRO, temporary, before anything begins, and then a preliminary injunction may take over. And a preliminary injunction will set the terms for everybody to behave until the case is complete, basically. So that is the new status quo that will be maintained throughout the case. So again, back to the examples. Hoffman now has a preliminary injunction. He can no longer do X, Y, or Z during the case while it's going on, right? They tried the same thing in the Peak Tactical case. And the judge in this case, which is, hang on a second. Let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys. Ooh, that is no longer properly centered. I did some stuff with get you a little bit closer here. I think we can do one more. Yep. This is in the United States District Court for the District of Wyoming. And Peak Tactical, partisan triggers, right? In this case, denying the plaintiff's motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. So basically, Rarebreed asked for the same thing to happen in this case as would happen in the Hoffman case, and this court basically said, no thanks. And this is a 35-page document. Again, you can go pull it down off of the internet if you would like to, from the link that I have pinned at the top. Yeah, the chat is running slow today. I apologize, guys. Yeah. John Crump, Ex parte is what you were looking for. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. John Crumb with $2 super chat. Much appreciated. Getting that to the top there. You don't have, brother, you don't have to send me money to get to the top. I'll read your stuff. You can also just, maybe he is texting me. Oh, yeah, he's totally texting me. I had my phone on silent. Yeah, so what we were talking about earlier, ex parte is where you can do something and the court can grant it without hearing from the defendant, right? So an ex parte hearing means that only one party was there, basically. The preliminary injunction requires input from both sides, basically, before that is done. In the year 2029, Rarebreed, who 2029? Yeah. When do Rarebreed's patents expire? It'd be interesting to see what happens. What pans out after that. Sorry, I've got this thing reduced in size. I should probably get that a little bit bigger because it's all the way on that side of my screen. There's a whole lot of stuff going on the screen. But basically, to distill down this 35-page document into... Now, I apologize for a little bit of clickbait. They did not lose. They lost the shall we call it the preliminary injunction part of the case. So again, you can ask for a temporary restraining order, and it's relatively easy to get a temporary restraining order compared to a preliminary injunction. A preliminary injunction is based on the merits of the case. There's substantial likelihood based on the evidence that you will succeed in your claim. That's considerably harder than hey, we've got these concerns over here kind of thing, and you don't hear from them. So both people submit their claims, preliminary injunction. Hey, do you think that we're going to win this case? And if you think that we're going to win this case and our claims are good, then will you please stop them from doing things to us while we get this all sorted out, because it's going to take a while, type thing. So that's to distill it down to layman's terms. When the reason that they lost the preliminary injunction is for a couple reasons. And they're all differing in scope here, and I think they're important to understand. The first one is they claimed irreparable harm. And the way that I understand it, not an attorney, okay, there's a guy out there that I will give you the channel of that you should absolutely be following. His name is Steven Stambulia, and I called him Steven Stamboulier for the longest time because I hadn't met the man. I finally shook his hand at SHOT Show this year. He has a channel called Stambulia Law, and he basically dedicates most of his channel to this sort of stuff. I can't obviously do that because I would tear my remaining hair out if I had to do that. But he is an attorney, and he does a really good job of laying this one out. So I highly suggest that you go do that if you don't feel like reading this document. So the first thing, irreparable harm. They claimed irreparable harm. And the way that I understand it, and have understand it for the longest time anyway, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm definitely not a patent attorney, is that, okay, well, now people know that Matt Hoover wants your, oh my God. I don't think that we should read that on air. The way that I've understood it up to this point is that in order for it to be irreparable harm, it's something that cannot be covered by monetary damages. So if you can just get paid off for it, then it's not irreparable. So irreparable harm would be like you get imprisoned by the government for some bullcrap that you didn't do, right? You can't get your time back. That's irreparable harm, right? You are injured because of somebody's negligence, right? And you like lose a finger or something like that. That's irreparable harm. Not like what they were claiming basically in this is, oh, well, it's going to degrade our prices. And, oh, it's going to, there are fewer people are going to buy our triggers type thing. And the court, again, to heavily paraphrase, basically said, that's called capitalism, is essentially what the court said here. Whether they believe that Rarebreed is in the right or not, that's essentially what the court said. Hey, this is an irreparable harm. And but what would be irreparable harm, likely, is if we shut your competition down because you don't like them because you don't like them selling a product that might compete against yours, basically. So if we completely shut them down, well, then that's going to negatively impact their business. Basically, it's going to cause their business to shut down versus like, hey, if it turns out to be that you are right, well, then they can just pay you, right? So there's a whole huge section on that. And I mean, we're talking like there's probably 20 pages committed to that concept alone. So that's the first one when it comes to why it was denied. And then I lost my train of thought on what the... Oh, yeah. Okay. The other reason... Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so you know what? We're just going to pull this up so you guys can see, and we're just going to... So you guys can see what it is that I'm talking about. And of course, you guys can go back and read this, for yourself if you would like to. So, background... applicable law, right? Okay, irreparable harm, right? And then it goes on down here. Part of irreparable harm, loss of business opportunity. And this is basically like, oh, well, we're gonna sell this many triggers, and triggers are for the life of the rifle for the most part. Basically, you buy one trigger and then you don't like really replace it. So they're saying that's loss of business opportunity. What I thought was great is plaintiffs offered testimony. This is Rarebreed that admitted to approximately a $350 profit on each trigger. Yikes. That's not going to play very well. I mean, I'm all for capitalism and all that sort of stuff, but that's going to really, people are not going to really appreciate that very much. I'm just going to throw that out there. Price erosion, basically, because they're selling, defendants are selling for 33% less, right? So yeah, there's that. Let's see on down here. Loss of market share. So this is translated to competition, basically. Reputational harm. like this type stuff. Okay. Okay, so that was all. Okay, that was... I don't know if you guys heard that siren go by, but it sounds like somebody's having a bad day. So I apologize for that interruption. So that was all. That was, I said like 20 pages. I was close. 17 pages committed to the irreparable harm. And then we get into the likelihood of success on the merits. In there, you will find that Partisan basically pulled out their document and flopped it on the table and basically said, Well, Rarebreed alleges that we are infringing on their patents with our device. However, we have a patent on our device, and you will notice that the date of our device predates the patents that Rarebreed alleges. And I'm like, oh shit. I did not have that on my bingo card. I did not know that that was going to happen. And that was pretty stunning in my mind, because when you balance, for instance, that you've got a situation where they've litigated this with the U.S. government, and the government has basically anointed them as the FRT manufacturer, and that they have to enforce their patents and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on down the line. And that has provided them with essentially a monopolistic situation, and they are currently charging $450 for something that costs $100 to make. That's in the document, right? I think that, again, I'm all for capitalism. I'm a very capitalistic person. However, look, that's a little steep. It's just a little bit steep. And I say that from the perspective of the market should decide on whether that is steep or not. But most people, when you say that something costs $100 and somebody's charging $450 for it, I think that most people will be like, okay, maybe that's a little bit high. What is the reason for that? Now, if Rarebreed were to say, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and defend them for a second. If Rarebreed were to say, hey, look, we've been in the hole because we fought the government for, 6 years, right? We fought them, and it costs a lot of money, and we are trying to make ourselves whole with the cost of these things, basically. And they came out and they said, hey, costs us $100. We're going to charge you $3 so that we can put some back to kind of make ourselves solvent again and rebuild our company. Well, I think that most folks would be like, hey, you know what? You fought it all the way to the end. You got to win, and you know what? You should reap some rewards from that. But then they go and do this litigative thing, and I think that most people, and again, I'm not trying to poison the well or anything, but I think that a lot of people see that, and they see these kind of things, and they're like, it's obvious that the war chest that is being amassed is being used to fuel those ongoing litigating efforts. And I think that most people think that that's probably, or at least most people think that's uncool. All right, I'm not going to dance around it. It's not cool. And I've said this in my previous video that there's a better way. There's more than one way to enforce your patent. And that is simply by licensing the technology. And the technology, you should license that technology to various manufacturers. Let's say, for instance, that the United States government really doesn't want Hoffman and his dudes out there doing the 3D printed thing. Well, then the federal government should do their own dirty work. And you can license you can say, okay, well, it's not licensed for that purpose, but these other companies out there that want to license the technology can license the technology. Otherwise, we're going to end up in this giant shit fit like we've got going on right here. But then the government has to then go out and take on their own bad PR for infringing on the First and Second Amendment of the American people. Something that, as much as we bitch about their performance, is not something that they're going to want to openly do. especially with the midterms looming. But the status quo that I have laid out for you is Rarebreed currently is in arbitration with Big Daddy Unlimited and those folks. I forget the name of the trigger that they're currently repping. It was the WOT, but then it was the they contacted me and asked me to do something with them, and I'm like, yeah, piss off. I forget the name of that company, but anyway, that one's in arbitration. Hoffman is currently under preliminary injunction while his case goes on, and then this case is going to proceed without any kind of injunction on the plaintiffs. So basically, they can keep doing what they're doing throughout the litigation of this case. And I'm very interested about that last part when it comes to Rarebreed maybe having those patents in jeopardy. I'm very interested to see how they behave with that status quo changing, because right now they've maintained, even though in Hoffman's case he kind of did bring up that there were patents that predated the Rarebreed patents, but they were before the concept of FRTs really came about. They were specifically for machine guns, okay? And that also predates the statutory definition of machine gun outlined in the regulations that we currently use. So when they were describing those devices for a machine gun before the current statutory definition of machine gun, well, I mean, you then get into the problem of, is it so old that it's difficult to apply it to the modern devices? I don't know about that. I'm not so sure if the patent that is from like the 1920s or something like that is as valid, even though it predates and nobody's been really using it. I don't know if that one carries as much weight as something like what Peak Tactical and Partisan are doing here, where it's like, no, we've got a patent. Let me see if I can specifically find the section here. I've read through this twice. I can't. It's going to take me too long to find this. And there's a bunch of I remember the line specifically was like wedged in between a whole bunch of quotes, and it's not going to make good figures. But anyway, I would like to go back to the chat because you guys have been filling it in today. And I want to remind you that we have a giveaway going on with First Form today. And to win, the best comment on what you would do, how you would handle somebody who owes you money, knows that they owe you money, you know that they have it, but they keep dragging their feet. What do you do about that situation? Funniest comment, best comment, whatever it is, wins. And they will win a value pack of First Form meat sticks, either off of the live stream comments or off of the VOD. So go get it. Sometime between now and tomorrow at noon, I will announce that in the pinned comment of the VOD for this live stream. Anyway, let's see what we got going on here in our live chats. People talking about the 500, you know. Okay, so let me go back to this. This profit on the trigger thing, because again, I don't want to seem like I'm anti-capitalist, because I talk about this all the time. I'm a hardcore capitalist. The way that I understand it is that it costs $100 to make it, and they're making $350 profit. But that isn't all Rarebreed's profit. I want to make sure that that is completely clear. A substantial proportion of that profit, I don't remember the actual figure, but I think it was something like $50 or something like that, I think that Rarebreed only makes $50 on it because the rest of it goes to ABC IP. And that's in one of these cases. I forget exactly where I read it, but I've read them all. So they're kind of all like running together. And I'm sorry if I look like I'm picking my nose. I had a massive nosebleed earlier today, and it's like really itchy. And I'm trying to check myself to make sure that I'm not breaking loose on camera. So if you see me do a gusher, then I apologize. But to be clear, there's a large profit on this, but it's not all Rarebreed's profit. Some of it is ABC IPs as well, the people who actually hold the patent, which, again, brings me forward to the whole thing of why the heck are we acting this way? Because you know what you could do is you could just license the patent, the intellectual property to all of these companies, and then in that case, you can enforce rules when you license things, right? Like I've licensed content before. There are rules that you can impose on the licensed use of that sort of stuff. And you can do things like map pricing. So now we've got all this dirty laundry being aired because they decided to go I'll put it like this, like I put it in my video the other day. Be a fucking man, sit down and talk to people. We don't have to actually go into court and sue each other to come to an agreement on this sort of thing. There are ways that they could have fulfilled the bidding of the Department of Justice, which I think was a terrible idea. They could have done that without all of this because, I said this in my previous video, I was a huge fan of Rarebreed while they were fighting the government and going toe-to-toe with the ATF. I thought that they were doing the Lord's work. And now that they've kind of come out of that situation, now they've taken on this this dark turn that really serves no one, including their own brand. Because you guys can read it all in the chat. Find me a positive comment about Rarebreed in that chat. You're not probably, I don't know, maybe somebody will, but I'm just saying that it's not looking good for them. And they could have maintained a substantial profit margin, and ABCIP could have just absolutely rolled. They could have just been printing money by licensing it to everyone. Even if they've got their own patents. You know, you just say, all right, well, hey, let's just do this, and then, you know, everybody wins. But, you know, whatever, right? It's not my reputation. Let's see. Let's go back to your guys' chat. We can also talk about anything else you want to talk about here today, guys. So if you got another topic that you want to chime in with, by all means. Hoffman should sue Rarebreeds. I guess he could countersue. But I mean, he's probably, you have to understand, guys, you have to understand, and everybody is very like, everybody is very like, well, you should just sue and you should just do that. And you should, Hoffman's case, if he chooses to litigate it as is probably going to cost him $1 million. Okay. If he takes it all the way, it'll probably cost him $1 million. I don't know about you, but I don't have an extra $1 million laying around. I do all right, but that would be a substantial impact to anybody, particularly somebody, and not to cast shade or anybody, not on anybody. But Hoffman lives off the grid, as far as I understand. Like, he's kind of like a prepper dude, right? I can't imagine that he's got a couple $1 million laying around to be able to do this sort of thing, especially as someone who's also a YouTuber, right? I can tell you that everybody thinks that we make like ungodly amounts of money, and we really don't. I just telling people to just sue folks, like, that's a statement that somebody makes if they are an attorney or has never sued someone before. Okay, because there's a substantial input that is required for that sort of behavior. Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm above suing folks. I'm just saying that there are better ways to do that, and if we wanted to be men, then we would act accordingly, and we would not be doing what we're doing in this instance. But I'm not in charge. All I can do is report on what's going on and give my 2 cents. And my opinion is that this should never be what is going on. Again, there are some instances where litigation is merited. A really good example would be like the Surefire or the B&T Surefire situation, right? I think that the B&T was completely in the right on that one. I think that that was like one of those, I equate that one to like the John Wick thing. Like, you beat up on some person that you had no idea who they were, right? And it turns out that was actually a really important person, and they were just minding their own business. They didn't want any problems with you, and there are consequences for that kind of behavior, right? So I believe in my heart of hearts that was probably legitimate. That one was justified. When it comes to Rarebreed suing the folks from Big Daddy Unlimited, again, I don't know all the details, and I don't know what's going on behind the arbitration and all that sort of stuff, but I hope they win that one. But in most cases, litigation should not be the default. And we definitely shouldn't be walking around trade shows handing out cease and desist letters, right? That's a real bad look. That's a real, real bad look. And just to defend them for a second, I don't think, to be clear, there are some, again, I want to be fair. There was some reporting that Rarebreed got kicked out of SHOT Show because they were handing out cease and desist letters at SHOT Show. I don't believe that is the case. I do not believe that there's no evidence that has surfaced that Rarebreed was handing out cease and desist letters at SHOT Show. They claim that they were not doing that. Now, I have not had anybody from Rarebreed contact me on that. If you're watching and you're from Rarebreed and you would like to let me know whether that is the case and whether you did or did not do that, then I will listen to you. And if you have a really good reason why you're doing this, like Pam Bondi standing over you with a spiked dildo or something like that, well, say something. See something, say something, man. But, okay, I'm not bleeding. Sorry. And for anybody who just turned in, I had a really bad nosebleed this morning, and it wouldn't shut off for a little while. I think it's the dry air, and I had I had some sinus stuff going on. I took some Afrin, and I think it broke me loose. So anyway, seventh time I've lost the screen for YouTube in the video. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. So I'm sorry if I'm doing something on my side that is causing that to happen, but ABC is Rarebreed. Yes. ABC is the holder of the patent, but ABC IP is a separate legal entity than Rarebreed. You have to understand the difference. So, for instance, there's a whole lot of reasons why you might do that, right? But if let's just say that they're the exact same people, right? No personnel difference between the two, right? Why would you not straight up collude with your competition to basically say, hey, look, man, pay it. Everybody charges the same amount of money. Everybody charges the same amount of money. And you level it up so that everybody's right about the same price point, and you're making money off the intellectual property at the same time. Like, there are ways to do that and keep the government off your back. So I don't know. I don't know. Hoffman needs to sue ABC for their fraudulent patent. Here's the thing. I said this already. Sure. If you got the money. The person who said that, and I'm not trying to cast shade on you, right? You've never sued anybody before. It costs a lot of money, especially at this level. Again, we've got a check your text from Flying Rich, $2. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can. You know what? We're going to take the time to do this. Holy crap. This is great. Hang on. So you guys have seen this back here, right? The hot crazy matrix. We're not going to do the other one because YouTube might get mad about that one because there's some shall we say some slurs in that one. Let me operate my device here. And I'm just gonna send this to my machine, and we're just gonna pull it up on the screen for you guys because I was just gonna do one of these. You guys are gonna love this. Anyway, we've got a giveaway today from First Form. If you've got a friend, or not even a friend, an associate, a business partner, something like that, and they owe you money, they know that they owe you money, and you know that they know that they owe you money, you know they got the money, they've been dragging their feet for months. What do you do about that situation, right? Best comment wins, and you win a value pack of meat sticks from First Form. Thank you very much, First Form, for making the live stream possible today. And I have a link in the pinned comment. The first link is a First Form affiliate link. It tells them that I sent you. They've been a sponsor for over a year at this point in time. And then the second link in the pinned comment is the link to this new preliminary injunction thing. All right, that should be on my machine now. So I'm going to show you guys this. Where is my thing? You guys are going to love this. Oh, well done. Well done. Well done, Flying Rich. Well done, sir. That is a beautiful work of art. Fantastic Photoshop skills, my friend. Good job. I will point out that poster there is signed by Dana McClendon himself, the guy who did the original Hot Crazy Matrix poster, the whole presentation at Yeager's place. So the dude in the video that's doing the Hot Crazy Matrix, he signed the bottom of that poster over there. And he signed it to my friend Curtis, commander of the Ohio Unicorn Search and Rescue Team. So, it is one of my most prized possessions. People see that when they walk into this office and they're like, wait a minute, what is that? Is that the, and I was like, not only that, but I make them read that and they're like, dude, that is priceless. And I said, yes, it is. It is absolutely priceless. So anyway, let's go back to your guys' chat for a second. We're going to have to get out of here pretty soon. So if you guys got any questions, you have anything specific you guys want to talk about? Oh no, I clicked on too many things and I have no idea where my chat window went. Here it is. If you have anything specific that you would like to talk about today, sound off in the live chat, and I will do my best to cover it. I got to get out of here at a decent hour today because I have a little bit more work to do because I usually cook on Sundays. I do all the cooking in our house, and usually we meal prep out like 3 or 4 days worth of stuff. Usually I've been doing even bigger stuff these days because we've been banking some of it back for when the baby comes, so we can just go down to the freezer and pull something out. I did a brisket last week, and we were able to do basically a serving a piece or 2 servings of brisket ended up going in the freezer because we ended up eating all the rest of it because it was damn good. 10 out of 10 will do that again. And I got 6 servings of chili that I did this past week. I think I did that one on Wednesday. I did that one, and I banked. We ate on it for a couple days, and then I banked 6 servings of that for with the intention. I mean, how much chili can you eat, right? And I make my chili thick, so that you can have it as a sauce. You can have it as a as just right out of the bowl. You can dilute it and have it with crackers if you want. Like, that's how I do it, and it is super. I call it Curtis's colon cleanse. Chili. So somebody confirmed that Hoffman and his family are totally off the grid. That was just an assumption of mine, based on what I've seen of his. I'm not a religious follower of his, but I do follow kind of like what's going on with the court case and everything. And again, if you guys want to keep up to date on it, there are a couple resources of this. Obviously, John Crump. News has been covering this pretty heavily, and then like the number one is Stamboulier Law. His YouTube channel is basically, he even jokes about it sometimes about welcome back to the Rarebreed litigation channel. So I don't know what's going to happen when this all kind of like comes to a head. He's going to have to find something else to cover. Somebody says Rarebreed should be kicked out of everywhere regardless if they're handing out C&Ds. Actually, they should be banned from every event, period. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. And the reason I don't really agree with that is I think there should be punitive actions taken, but I don't think that they should just be outright barred from industry events, because the standard that we have set in our industry is that you can basically behave however you want, and you can still come back to everything. Like, just look at some of the companies that have like straight up overtly done anti-Second Amendment stuff, and they're still welcome in various places. So I don't think that this raises the level, and if we are uniform application in our logic, we still allow Springfield Armory to come to events. We still allow, even though Ruger has cleaned up their act quite a bit, we allow them in. We still allow Smith & Wesson in. Silencer Central is still allowed into various events. Help me. There's other ones that I've covered over the years. There's plenty of companies that we still allow the companies that work with George Soros into like all the gun safety companies and things like that. We still allow those into places like the NRA convention and the NSSF. It's their decision to make whether they let those people in or not. And the only one that I've seen recently that appears to be somewhat discriminatory on whether they're going to stand up to that sort of stuff or not is, and he doesn't know that I'm going to say this, but John Patton over at the Gun Collective. He had he posted on his official media, should they allow T-Rex Arms to come to GunCon or not, based on the stuff that they were doing. So that's the only thing that I can see that looks like, the only person that I can see that holds an event that appears to have any standards whatsoever. So when it comes to barring that Rarebreed from events, I don't think there's really a good basis for that, because it hasn't been enforced up to this point. I mean, shit, the NSSF literally let in like some anti-gun media groups some years ago. That was a big thing, right? So I'm not so sure about whether Rarebreed should be outright banned based on that activity. Now, if they just lose the... Are we still live? Did I just lose the... Let me know if we're still live. I think we're still live. All my stuff just kind of like went dead. And it just went dead again. What the heck is going on here? Yeah, well, am I running too many windows? Like that's not a thing. But yeah, I mean, my stuff just keeps going dead. Like I can't see the, well, okay, the chat's now back. So sorry guys, I have no idea where I was in the list of stuff. I apologize. That sucks. Sorry, I have no idea where it was. Somebody asked where my email address is. It is published. You can find it on the channel. I'm not going to give it to you on air. Not happy about the Ghost Gunner. Flying Rich says that the Ghost Gunner being banned from SHOT. Yeah, that's kind of not cool. Guys, I don't know what's going on. I just lost it again. Yeah, I keep losing my feed. So, I don't know. We're gonna forge ahead. Again, I'm gonna go back up here and see if I can find some of you guys. I think I figured out where I was. No, I'm by losing my feed. I mean, I'm losing my feed. Like I am losing my page. Like I can't see like the live chat or anything for like I lose it. So guys, I don't know what's going on here. That it kind of sucks. That's Unicorn Zone must be an affordable, transferable. Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Yeah, not happy about the Ghost Gunner being banned from SHOT Show. Let's make them wear Scarlet 2As. do you do it double A? Right? Like just take like the AAA symbol and just like cut one of the A's off. I think that we ought to do it that way. That's good. That's really good. Again, we have a giveaway going on today, guys, with First Form, a value pack of meat sticks. Best comment wins. What do you do if somebody owes you money? They know they owe you money. You know they've got the money, but they keep avoiding you. Best comment wins. My favorite comment was how come single combat wasn't on the list of things, of options. So that was a pretty good one. But I will go back and check this sometime about noon, midday tomorrow. I will I will circle back and tell you who won. Is Rarebreed messing with you? Maybe Rarebreed's messing with my feed somehow. The numbers look good as far as like the internet is concerned. I don't know what was going on with that. It seems that we've stabilized now, but oh yeah. So I was saying that John Patton is basically the only one who's running a 2A trade show that has a backbone at this point in time. So he has he posted on his official media that T-Rex Arms asked if they could come to GunCon, and John, being a savvy businessman, said, well, I would like to have as many people participate in my event as possible because I want it to be a good event. And GunCon is my favorite event of the year. It's not my most lucrative event. My most lucrative event is SHOT Show, but between GunCon and SHOT Show, I don't need to do anything else throughout the year. I am happy going to those two events and only those two events. He basically put that up there, basically saying, hey, what do you guys think? Should I allow them to be in? And knowing that there's controversy around that brand and they have not met the standard that we expect out of good businessmen in our space. He's the only person I've seen do anything like that. So I am all for there being standards in our industry, but if we're going to enforce those standards against Rarebreed, then we need to start enforcing them across the board. And they need to be real. But I have seen no indication that that is going to be the case at any of the other events across the board. And to just pick somebody like Rarebreed, I think there has been, while I don't agree with what Rarebreed is doing, at least in the Hoffman case and probably in the other cases as well, I don't think that it has risen to the level of like a Marty Daniel comment, right? So why would we allow companies that use the space and use the principles as marketing material and then get in bed with the government and allow them to walk all over people's rights and say, no, it's okay. You guys don't know what you're talking about and stuff like that. Why would we allow them to continue to come to those events and have a presence there when they do those kinds of things, but then when it's a business to business disagreement, we're now barring people from coming. So you see what I'm saying? Like, one of these is worse than the other. And the one that we're talking about penalizing is not the one that we absolutely, I mean, I think there should be punitive action taken for both of them. But the one that we're talking about punishing people over is not the one that we should have first punished. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm saying is, like, if we're talking about kicking people out of events, there should be some people that have been kicked out of events a long time ago over some stuff that is way worse than this. Even though this is here and this is now and it feels pretty bad, yeah, there's some other folks that should not be, that should be punished first. So that's all I'm saying. And you guys can think I'm cracked on that. That's fine. If you guys want to tell me that I am. Anyway. I don't know who Kevin Q is. Sorry. I guess somebody asked who holds the current lawsuit record, Rarebreed or Kevin Q. I don't know who Kevin Q is. Sorry. I should probably just Google that really quick. Oh. Now I know who that is. Okay. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking that was some kind of pop culture reference, but yeah, that makes sense. I have no idea at this point in time. Again, litigative behavior, I pretty much abhor that kind of behavior. I think there are just better ways to do things, but you know, some people think that that's the way that it ought to go. Guess it's too much to hope that they're suing Hoffman in order to lose so they can just go, oh no, our patents are no good. There's nothing left to defend. Yeah, I am so sick and tired of like the 3D, 4D, 5D chess type thing, like the conspiracy theory. Like, don't get me wrong. There have been many instances in the last several years where the conspiracy theory turned out to be, oh no, yeah, that's actually a thing. But I think that there have been such egregious lies told to us over the course of the last decade, for instance, alone, that have turned out to be exactly what we thought that they were, that now there's this kind of like preconception that the conspiracy could possibly be true. I don't think that that's what's going on right now. And if that was what was going on, I would have hoped that somebody would have told me up to this point. Because again, listen, the firearms industry is a very small place. And I said this in my previous video. The companies that you think that have 1,000 employees have 100 employees. The companies that you think have 100 employees have 10 employees. And the companies that you think have 10 employees are like one dude and maybe his wife in a garage. Okay. Like, the gun industry is a super duper small place. If I walk down the main row at SHOT Show, I will see, if I walk down the row for 10 minutes, I will see 200 people that I know. Okay. Or have had some acquaintance with at some time, at least enough to wave to them. Right. Or they know who I am, or vice versa. Right. Such a small place, which is really cool. But when it comes to this kind of intra-industry fighting, it could have been all handled in a meeting room instead of in a courtroom. And now, on full display, we have a bunch of people making clowns out of themselves. And I think that Hoffman's probably the one who's got it right, where even though I don't really do the like angry Reddit dude that just wants to give everything away for free, right? As much as I don't really sympathize with that, I think it's funny as fuck that he's just clowning on everybody and just being like, yeah, you guys want to charge like $500 for these things? Here, download the files and do it yourself, noob. By and large, the folks that work in the gun industry are great folks. But I always tell people, especially if they're new in the industry, that you need to watch out for the folks that are not. Anyway, we are way over time than we normally run. I had a great time today, guys. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And it has been a pleasure to live stream with you today. I am going to have to break it off here pretty soon. You ever work with the Blake King, a.k.a. BKF Lima, Ohio? No, I have not. They can totally contact me. I'll look at what they've got going on, and we can see if there's a good fit. I don't chase people anymore. I just don't do it. It gives me too much stress. But I would like to say thank you for tuning in today. Again, this is going to be the last live stream of February 2026, because next week I am very much likely to be out because my son or daughter will be here. If not on that day or before that day, shortly after that day, because February 22nd is the official due date of our kid. So I plan to not be here that day. So wish me luck, folks. And I will give you guys updates when that occurs. Let you guys know how everything goes on all the official media channels. You can follow me on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course, here at the VSO Gun Channel. We also have a Rumble page and things like that. I really appreciate you guys and I just want to say thank you for putting me where I am in life, because I would not be here without you folks. So thank you very much. And have a great week.